This is your pilot speaking, your boy Rich from Rich TV Live. So, as you know, I have been one of the first investors ever in High Times. I am a High Times investor and have been since day one. Now, over the last few months, there's been a lot of people saying that High Times is going bankrupt. There's a lot of people saying that High Times will never go public and they're going to steal money from all the shareholders. Despite all of that, I held my shares, stayed quiet, wear my High Times gear, and I believed that they would go public since day one. I have some breaking news. I got an email, a message from High Times today to shareholders. This is breaking news. Here it is. Dear High Times shareholders and stakeholders, we are pleased to provide you with an overview of the progress and accomplishments that High Times has made over the past year. This doesn't sound like a company going bankrupt, does it? And we are excited to share our progressive new vision for the future. We thank all of our shareholder supporters, more than 23,000 shareholders in total, as we move into this new decade. That is a huge number of shareholders, by the way. There is no bigger global cannabis brand than High Times, thanks to both our new and longtime supporters. In a market desperate for validation, High Times has stood the test of time and remains the only cannabis brand known from California to Timbuktu since 1974. High Times has established itself as the most recognized cannabis brand in the world, sought after by new customers trying cannabis for the first time, as well as long-term connoisseurs who have been reading our flagship magazine cover to cover for the past 45 years. With more than 23,000 shareholders representing over 24 countries around the world, we are a global brand with a global following. 2019 year in review. This past year has been transformative. Despite a challenging economic environment in the cannabis world, we entered our first half of 2019 with positive revenue growth of 20.7% for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2019. We pulled key cannabis media brands, solidified our core offerings, launched successful events throughout North America, taken steps to prepare for a public market listing, and added key members to our management team. We also made difficult but necessary decisions to help bring us to profitability, including consolidating our magazine brands under one editorial group, as well as reducing corporate overhead by centralizing our operations to California. What we have learned in this is that things don't always go according to plan. Candidly, we have made a few decisions that in hindsight, we may have done differently today. Our largest misgiving is that High Times had hoped to be public by now. But given the market's volatility in the cannabis sector, we also believe that this may have been a blessing in disguise for our company and shareholders alike. We are now more focused and realigned. We spent this past year building our new corporate strategy, which we are excited to share. Ultimately, we believe we have found the best way to leverage our global brand and content engine to power the next steps in High Times evolution. And we remain as optimistic as ever, as we believe that we have created a clear path forward for long-term success. The path forward. As 2020 ushers into a new decade, we have decided that it is important to focus on business fundamentals in order to head down a path towards profitability. In doing so, we will focus on operational efficiencies and monetization of our uniquely iconic cannabis brand. We aim to achieve this by becoming a multifaceted cannabis brand company that will now touch the leaf. This is breaking news. They will actually get into selling cannabis, folks. We will focus on high margin business segments, including flagship dispensaries, licensing relationships, and e-commerce delivery. Wow, this is breaking news. High Times is getting into touching the leaf. Dispensaries, licensing relationships, and e-commerce delivery. We believe this may lead our business to organically evolve into merchandising, as well as flagship smoke shops, consumption lounges, and other attractive consumer destinations. We will also continue with our core competencies of media, magazine, and global events. by capturing new business verticals and cross-pollinating these with our historical platform. We look forward to delivering High Times to consumers in compelling new ways. I love it. Absolutely love this news for High Times. Corporate strategy. Last week, we announced our intentions to open our first 2 flagship retail dispensaries, the store located in Los Angeles and Las Vegas, 2 of the biggest markets for cannabis legalization in America, specifically Los Angeles. We serve as branded retail locations in key destinations that will aim to deliver the highest quality product available to consumers at all price points. We plan to continue to support local businesses by finding shelf space for craft product, including award-winning cannabis cup products. We will always stay true to our roots. In the years to come, we intend to focus on acquisition and partnership opportunities for company growth. In particular, this will be our strategy to scale our brick and mortar presence. And we are currently exploring new dispensary locations throughout North America. Come to Vancouver. Management. As we look forward to our future initiatives, we have made important strategic decisions for our management team. We recently hired an e-commerce pioneer, Stormy Simon, to take over as High Times Chief Executive Officer. Stormy was previously the president of Overstock.com. Interesting. Wow. Where she was part of a group that grew sales from 20 million to over 2 billion. That's impressive. Stormy revolutionized Overstock.com into the digital shopping empire that it is today. She is uniquely positioned to help our brand capitalize on High Times' digital business by leveraging our traffic into transactions, not just for our brand, but for our business partners. She is also a visionary in the area brand building. As a passionate advocate of medical cannabis causes, Stormy brings tenacious leadership to our team. Additionally, Paul Henderson, the former CEO of Grupo Flor, joined us as our new president. Paul has worked in the corporate world for leading global corporate such as Apple, Goldman Sachs, and GE Capital, and has recent experience in executive leadership in the U.S. cannabis industry. We believe Paul's deep consumer packaged goods retail background and finance experience will bring powerful insight and experience for us as we grow our business. Coupled with this, Paul's contributions to building vertically integrated cannabis businesses will be important during the growth of our new business verticals. Paul's unique background includes building retail dispensaries on modest budgets into some of the most successful stores in their areas. Paul is integral to the execution of the High Times vision. We welcome both Stormy and Paul to the High Times family. We believe the addition of these key executives will prove ultimately valuable for our growth trajectory while remaining highly complementary to an already talented team. The macro opportunity at High Times. High Times has long been on the front lines advocating for legalization and social acceptance. We will continue to be a leader in empowering the explosive growth of the industry. We are well positioned to benefit from the continuing legalization of cannabis around the world. The global legal cannabis market is projected by industry sources to reach $66.3 billion by 2025. In the United States, 33 states currently allow for legal cannabis sales and consumption, including 11 recreational states and Washington, D.C. As legalization gains traction, we expect the remainder of 2020 to be filled with old and new territories hosting High Times events. Winning our Cannabis Cup competitions remains the most prestigious achievement for cannabis growers and manufacturers, and this reputation continues to grow as our competitions expand and each new recreational market. You guys need to come to Vancouver, seriously. This past year, we returned to a new legalized Detroit for the first time in 6 years, where we hosted a sold-out event, returned to Denver for the first time in 3 years, and are proud to have hosted our first ever event in Oklahoma. We are pleased with what we have achieved, but there is so much more left to accomplish, and High Times is very aware of Rich TV Live And Rich TV Live is a big fan of High Times, just so everybody knows. And I am an investor, have been since day one of the first investors in High Times. In addition to our positive revenue growth, the strategic transactions we plan to complete will further solidify our position. We will continue to expand our events-based business and continue to connect cannabis consumers with both endemic cannabis and non-endemic brands globally. We do this in print. We do this via the web. We do this via social media channels like Rich TV Live. And we do work with, just so you guys know, High Times. They're very aware of us. We do this at events. We do this directly to consumer inboxes. We use our brand to connect cannabis consumers with our brands. We will double down on the approach as we move into retail and look for other e-platforms to connect cannabis brands to consumers, just like we've done for more than 45 years. Looking ahead, our goal is to maximize the value of High Times brand by continually expanding our presence. We will continue to pursue strategic acquisitions, attractive investment opportunities and partnerships, while also looking to grow our organic business. We are constantly pursuing new opportunities as legalization moves forward. Capital Markets Initiative. We continue to extend our Regulation A offering, which means you can still invest in High Times, and plan to keep it open to raise further capital in preparation for our long-awaited listing on a public exchange. This is a tremendous advantage as it allows us to continue to tell our story while raising capital to drive growth. Right now, we have more than 23,000 shareholders and believe this has been one of the most successful Reg A offerings in history. We appreciate all of your support as we continue to complete our transition into an anticipated public listed company. We encourage all of our investors to spread the word and share this email with your friends who may find this message interesting. Although our initial plan was to list on the Nasdaq, we believe this would place severe constrictions on our company from a strategic growth perspective. Our current objectives to move into plant touching would not be possible on that path. Yet we still believe the public markets will bring greater exposure and access to capital, as well as liquidity for our current shareholders. As such, after carefully weighing our strategic options, we have decided to pursue a listing on the OTCQX exchange, which I'm totally good with. I'm totally good with that. I just want you guys to go public so my shares can become free trading. And so all shareholders can actually make money with their shares that we've invested in. We believe that utilizing our IP and brand awareness on plant touching opportunities provides the greatest prospect for our shareholders and for corporate growth moving forward. Currently, we are waiting a final response from FINRA, which is in the last hurdle needed prior to listing our shares on the OTCQX, which means they could be very, very close to going public. And if they do, we will do everything in our power to get them on our show, just so you guys know. Conclusion, in closing, we have made significant progress to date and are well positioned to continue the momentum we have started. We remain focused on driving positive revenue growth, improving cash flow, liquidity, and margins, while simultaneously maximizing the value of our global brand for our shareholders. High Times management team is highly motivated and excited about our prospects for the future. On behalf of the entire High Times team, including our board of directors and associates, I would like to give thanks to all of you who have invested with us and believe in the power of our global brand. This is only the beginning. Sincerely, Adam E. Levine, Executive Chairman, HighTimesInvestor.com. Thank you guys for watching. I am a High Times investor. I will keep you updated on any news that happens or breaks on the High Times story. This is good news. Hopefully we get listed on the OTCQX exchange. I already have my paperwork from the transfer agent. Hopefully I can get my shares deposited soon. I got over $5,000 invested in High Times. If you're not winning, you're not watching. This is your boy Rich from Rich TV Live, and I'm out. Peace. High Times going public soon, guys. Stay tuned. It's true. Your boy, once again, bringing the news first. It's what we do best. It's true.